Life is strange. We go through school learning mathematics, grammar, science, and the names of planets, but nobody teaches us the most important thing of all: how to handle our mind, how to manage our emotions, how to deal with stress, sadness, self doubt, anxiety, disappointment, heartbreak, or even just a bad day. We grow up thinking that something is wrong with us whenever we feel overwhelmed or lost, when actually these experiences are simply part of being human. This is exactly what the book, Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before, tries to reveal. It gives us the emotional tools that most of us were never taught, even though they are essential for a peaceful and meaningful life. So imagine this script as a conversation with someone who cares for you, someone who sits next to you and says, "There is nothing wrong with you. You just never learned how your mind works, but you can learn now." That is the heart of this book. And in this explainer, we will walk through the key ideas in very simple, easy to understand language, like a soft and gentle guide you can return to whenever life feels too heavy. Let's start with something essential. Your emotions are not your enemy. Most people grow up believing that negative emotions are bad, that sadness should be avoided, that anxiety means weakness, that anger is something to be ashamed of. But emotions are not problems, they are signals. They are your mind's way of telling you something needs attention. The issue is not the emotion itself. The issue is that we never learned what the signal means. And so we panic, suppress, or judge ourselves unnecessarily. For example, sadness is not proof that you are broken. Sadness often means that something you value has changed or ended. Anxiety is not proof that you are weak. Anxiety is sometimes your brain trying to protect you from uncertainty. Anger is not proof that you are a bad person. Anger can be your mind telling you that your boundaries have been crossed. But because nobody taught us this, we think our emotions are faults instead of messages. This book teaches us to read those messages with kindness. One of the most powerful ideas in the book is that thoughts are not facts. Just because your mind tells you something, it doesn't mean it's true. The mind loves to predict the worst. It loves to exaggerate danger. It loves to create stories based on fear, insecurity, past experiences, or assumptions. And if we are not careful, we start believing every story the mind creates. The book teaches us to separate between a thought and the truth. A thought is just a sentence passing through your brain. You get to choose whether to keep it or let it go. Imagine waking up one day and the first thought in your mind says, "You are not good enough." Most people would believe it instantly. Their mood drops, their confidence drops, their day becomes heavier. But the truth is, this is just a thought, a sentence, not a fact. You can learn to say, "Thank you, brain, for sharing this, but I don't need this thought right now." That small separation gives you power over your mind instead of letting your mind control you. Another major idea from the book is about motivation. Most people treat motivation like a feeling, something that magically appears from nowhere. But the book explains that motivation is actually a byproduct of action. If you wait until you feel motivated, you may wait forever. But if you take even one small action, your brain starts building momentum. For example, if your room is messy, waiting for motivation will not help. But if you pick up just one item from the floor, suddenly your brain feels a spark of progress. That spark creates motivation. This is why the author says, action creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to start small. This also connects with how we handle difficult days. Some days are heavy for no clear reason. Instead of fighting the heaviness, the book teaches us to use the concept of doing the next tiny helpful thing. If your energy is low, do something small that supports your well-being. It can be drinking water, taking a shower, going for a 5-minute walk, writing down your thoughts, calling a friend, or simply resting without guilt. On difficult days, small steps matter more than big plans. A beautiful lesson from the book is about self-compassion. Many people think being kind to themselves means being weak or making excuses, but the truth is the opposite. When you treat yourself with harshness, the mind goes into defense mode. It shuts down, it feels unsafe. But when you treat yourself with gentleness, the mind opens up. It starts healing. Self-compassion is not saying everything is okay. It is saying, I am doing the best I can, I deserve patience, I deserve care. Just like you would speak kindly to a friend who is struggling, you have to speak kindly to yourself. Most people have never tried this because no one taught them how powerful it is. The book also teaches us something important about stress. Stress itself is not harmful. The belief that stress is harmful makes it worse. When you feel stressed, your body is preparing you to handle a challenge. It is not trying to destroy you. The problem is that we panic when stress shows up. We think something is wrong, but stress sometimes is your body gearing up to support you. When you understand this, the pressure feels lighter and your ability to cope improves. Another key insight is about resilience, the ability to bounce back from difficulties. Resilience is not a personality trait, it is a skill. It is built through practice. When you face a difficult moment and choose to take even one small helpful action, your brain learns that you can survive tough situations. Over time, this creates inner strength. The book reminds us that resilience is built in ordinary moments, not extraordinary ones. Every time you calm yourself, every time you ask for help, every time you try again after failing, you are building resilience quietly. The book also talks about managing worry. Worry feels like thinking, but it is not real problem solving. It is the mind repeating negative possibilities without reaching any solution. The author suggests setting a worry window. That means you give yourself a fixed time of the day, like 10 minutes, where you allow yourself to worry fully. Outside that window, if your mind starts worrying, you say, "Not now, I will think about this at my worry time." Surprisingly, the mind reduces the intensity of worrying when it knows there is a fixed time later. This is a powerful technique that makes worry manageable. Another important lesson is about acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean liking something or agreeing with something. It simply means acknowledging reality instead of fighting it. For example, if you are stuck in traffic, being angry doesn't help. Fighting the situation in your mind only increases suffering. But when you say, "This situation is not ideal, but I accept it," your mind becomes calmer. Acceptance is like dropping a heavy mental weight. It frees your energy to focus on things you can control instead of things you cannot. The book also speaks deeply about comparison. We live in a world where comparing ourselves to others is easier than ever. Social media constantly shows achievements, beauty, wealth, and happiness, but comparison steals joy. The book explains that your journey is unique. Comparing your chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 20 is unfair. Instead of asking why am I not like them, ask what small improvement I can make in my own path. When you shift your focus from comparison to personal progress, your mental peace increases immediately. Another powerful chapter in the book talks about gratitude, but not the forced type. Many people think gratitude means pretending to be happy all the time, but real gratitude is noticing simple good things even on difficult days, like a warm cup of tea, a comfortable bed, a message from a friend, a breath of fresh air, or a moment of silence. Gratitude is not about ignoring difficulties. It is about reminding yourself that good things still exist alongside the difficulties. The mind slowly becomes more balanced when gratitude becomes a habit. The book also helps with breaking negative thinking loops. When your mind repeats the same painful thoughts again and again, it creates a loop. The best way to break the loop is by interrupting it with the grounding technique. Focus on your breathing. Touch something nearby and observe the texture. Name the objects around you. Stretch your body. Look out the window. These grounding actions bring your mind back into the present moment and interrupt the repeating loop of negative thoughts. There's also a beautiful discussion about hope. Hope is not about believing that everything will be perfect. Hope simply means believing that things can get better, even slowly. Even when life feels dark, hope is like a tiny candle. It doesn't remove the darkness completely, but it helps you move forward one step at a time. The book gently reminds us that hope is a skill. You can train yourself to look for possibilities, even small ones. Another helpful idea is about emotional vocabulary. Often we say, "I feel bad," but bad is not a specific emotion. The book teaches that naming your real emotion makes it lighter. For example, instead of saying "I feel bad," you might say, "I feel disappointed," or "I feel lonely," or "I feel nervous," or "I feel exhausted." The moment you accurately name the emotion, your brain feels a little relief. It's like finding the right key for a lock. This small skill can dramatically improve your emotional clarity. The author also explains the importance of social connection. Humans are wired to connect, but most people think they need to be perfect to be loved or understood. The truth is the opposite. Vulnerability, showing your real feelings, is what deepens connection. You don't need to pretend you are okay when you are not. Opening up to someone you trust can reduce emotional burden instantly. Even small interactions with people around you, like a smile, a greeting, or a short conversation, can lift your mood. The book teaches something very practical about habits as well. Many people expect themselves to make big changes quickly, but big changes overwhelm the brain. The author suggests focusing on tiny habits. Instead of saying "I will meditate for 20 minutes daily," start with 2 minutes. Instead of saying "I will walk for 1 hour," start with 5 minutes. The brain resists big changes, but it accepts tiny ones. And once small habits become consistent, they start growing naturally. Another important section covers self-esteem.
Self-esteem is not built by compliments or achievements. Self-esteem is built by keeping promises to yourself. When you do what you said you would do, your mind starts trusting you. When you repeatedly break promises to yourself, your mind starts doubting you. Even small commitments help, like drinking a glass of water, waking up 10 minutes earlier, or writing down your thoughts. Every time you follow through, your self-esteem strengthens. By the end of the book, the message becomes clear. The emotional skills we need to live a peaceful, meaningful life are learnable. You are not broken. You just never received the instruction manual for your mind. But now you can learn. You can understand your emotions. You can guide your thoughts. You can build resilience. You can handle stress. You can take small steps forward even on difficult days. You have more strength inside you than you realize. The mind is not your enemy. It is something that you can train, shape, and understand with patience and practice. And as this explainer comes to an end, remember that every lesson from this book is meant to empower you, not pressure you.